It's because we will never be here again is what makes life so sweet. Hi, my name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about why the Russian economy is heading for extinction. And it's connected to the interest rate, but it's not the interest rate that you think. You think you know, but you don't know, because I thought I knew, but I didn't know. We're going to go into economic theory, but I want to lay out some metaphors. Metaphors are like gymnastics for the mind. They expand and stretch and make you see a different perspective. So when we're talking about the Russian economy and the interest rate, we can't just be looking at aggregate data. We can't just be looking at, the exchange rate, GDP, consumer confidence. We have to look at something more fundamental. Before we get into that, I want to discuss it. I want to tell you what exactly I'm talking about. The Russian economy is like the bear dog. If you know anything about evolution, the bear dog is an evolutionary dead end. I know the Tsar of Russia likes to speak about, the great Russian bear, and he loves dogs, etc. He's a bear dog. This idea is a bear dog. It's an evolutionary dead end. The bear dog had a ferocious roar and lived for millions of years and roamed this earth. But this roar scared predators away. This bark, kind of like, the Kremlins bark. And evolutionary changes occurred where the little kitty cat and little doggies, they started to dominate and crowd out the food chain because this humongous bear dog could not adapt. And so let's talk about the economics of Russia and why it is, in essence, an extinctual dead end, both in terms of the economy and society. Let's go back to 1884, not 1984. Everybody's thinking, we're 1884, Eugen von Böhm-Bawerk. He had kind of a cool name, umlauts. He said that there's 3 reasons why people prefer present goods over future goods. Reason number 1, a sense of urgency. Okay? Number 2, uncertainty. And number 3, more complicated, technical roundaboutness of production. I refer to, Robert P. Murphy and Feder, the Austrian economist, early 20th century. Feder, later, his arguments about this third point. But the first 2 points are very important. This, in essence, is what an interest rate is. It's an intertemporal price, supply and demand in the future. It's a time preference. Interest is a time preference. It's not something you see at the Russian central bank, like 20%. Oh, it's 21%, 20%. What does this mean? It's a relative rate to the bank rate. And everybody's thinking in these Fisher terms of the bank rate and then portfolio theory, proliferation of risk profiles. You add on 5% for risk. That is not an interest rate. That's a money rate. An interest rate is always based on intertemporal subjective preferences. And that was explained by Böhm-Bawerk, 1884, and Knut Wicksell, 1898. He ran with it and created a monetary theory. Later, Hayek and Mises created a theory of business cycles, as well as Murray Rothbard. And the key point about this is it's independent of everything. It's a subjective individual preference. When I poll Russians, we can look at the proliferation of credit as an indication that time preference is changing in Russia because they're all using credit cards, But when we're talking about subjective time preference, every single Russian I talk to has a sense of uncertainty and a sense of urgency. This means the time preference, the intertemporal time preference should be very high, kind of like the bank rate. And when this happens, the economy starts to collapse on itself. Technical innovation, people don't plan for the future. They just consume now, or, they want this, I want it all, I want it now, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die attitude. But what's happening is the Kremlin's consuming like they have a low time preference. Low time preference is like the desirable state. It means that you have capital lengthening, broadening. the medium and the mode of the incomes, of real incomes, are increasing. That is not happening. So normally, economists are looking at the relationship between something called the natural rate, which is based largely on intertemporal time prices under normal conditions, and the bank rate, and they should be in equilibrium. But what we have is a natural rate that's bifurcated between the central government and the individual subjective time preferences. In every single case, the individual subjective time preferences win. It's kind of like the Kremlin's building a castle on ice. And that's, again, a metaphor for Alexander, I think it was Nevsky's Battle on Ice. You can look that battle up, where the knights just fell under the ice because of the weight of it. It's kind of like they're consuming next year's seed potato crop. If you know anything about growing potatoes, and you know that I do, you need to store some for seed potatoes so they sprout. Maybe you chit them, cut them up, and plant them. But the Russian society is consuming that right now. So this intertemporal rate is so out of whack. People want to consume now, but they're actually forced into something called forced savings. You can look that up by the Kremlin. When that occurs, an economy collapses. It happens 100% of the time. Ukraine's going to win, Russia's going to lose, because we have a bifurcation of the natural rate of interest caused by a forced savings and a skewed intertemporal rate, which is the real natural rate, the real interest rate, not the bank rate. That can go up and down. People can jump up and down, like the ruble's going up or down, and that a lot relates to the dollar. But I'm telling you, this economy in Russia is on the verge of collapse. Right now, there's a lot of distractions on the news. Don't keep your eye on the ball. Ukraine's going to win. Russia is on the verge of collapse. The best offense is a great defense, and Ukraine's doing a great job with that. Any Russian I've talked to, they have uncertainty about the future. That means their time preference is very high. If you feel great, happy days are here again, like you're 18 years old, you probably have a pretty low time preference. You can plan for the future, create endeavors, innovation, technology occurs, productivity increases, and it's generally a great wealth for society. People build parks. They have a low time preference. A time preference, again, is a low time preference is, okay, I could get a house in a year, or I could get a house today. It doesn't matter as much. But if you have a high time preference, you're saying, I want shelter today. I want security now. So that's what's happening in Russia. The people, the economy, the people are the economy. They're microeconomic agents, not the Kremlin, not any kind of GDP figure you hear quoted by the IMF or whoever. It's the individuals. This is extremely high right now, teetering on the brink of disaster, where the Kremlin is acting as if, they're creating this armaments industry and everything as if it's a low time preference. It's a very focused, narrow creation in the Russian economy. I think the collapse starts to begin. You're going to start to see some riffles, I say June 30th onward, stretching all the way till the end of December 26, 2026, to mark the anniversary of the last collapse of the Russian economy. The Russian economy collapses a lot. So if you want to know why the Russian economy, don't go further than just simply, looking at some data you read. Look at Eugen von Böhm-Bawerk, 1884, intertemporal rate, natural rate, time preference. My name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. Have a great day. Thank you very much.